A little bit of housekeeping as we're starting out. We're going to save all of the questions for the end of the session. The session is being recorded and will be made available after the, probably after tomorrow's session for EMEA and APAC. If you have any questions throughout, please feel free to just pop them into the GoToWebinar's question box. We'll see them. Some of them might get addressed through writing throughout the session. Otherwise, we'll circle back and do that verbally afterwards. So welcome to the Security Center 5.10 SDK update. My name is Charles Pittman. I'm the Product Marketing Manager for the software integrations at Genetec. I'm joined by Anne-Cécile Tournier, who's the DAP Director, Ilya Naduev, who's the DAP Manager, and Dimitri Krashunas, sorry about that, DAP Technical Team Lead. So on the agenda today, we're going to start out with a quick overview of what's new in Security Center 5.10. Just generally, we're going to talk about just an overview of what's new from an SDK perspective and what new capabilities this brings to you folks as partners. We have enlisted a lot of the product group members to provide demonstrations of some of these featured SDK updates. So we'll go through what the changes are, what that looks like within Security Center, and what that means for your integrations, potentially. And then finally, we're going to have a quick recap of the Development Acceleration Program, just to make sure everyone's on the same page and that you're ready to take advantage of these new features. And finally, we'll answer any questions that have come up throughout the webinar. So, Security Center 5.10. The newest release of Security Center will be available within a month, so this is an opportune time to start taking a look at the new features and starting to test against the new version as well, and looking at any updates you'd like to make. So if you do have questions about that, or you'd like to get access to the pre-release version so you can start development work, please feel free to reach out to dap@genetec.com, so that's DAP@genetec.com, and they'll set you up with that if you're eligible to receive it. So a few themes for this release. We've grouped them along these paths so that we just don't have a list of features. We're looking at a practical path to the cloud. So connected is really the new normal these days, and we're building on the groundwork that we've been laying for the last 6 or 7 releases of Security Center. 5.10 includes improvements to cloud storage with multiple layers and an improved interface, but we're also moving to connect other systems to the cloud, including Sipeli as a service for new communications opportunities. On the other hand, we're expanding the reach of unification. So typically we've discussed unification as bringing together access control, video, license plate recognition, but we're really looking to go beyond that. Namely, we're expanding into new types of data. So we're looking to bring in structured data through low-code and no-code integrations, as well as bringing mission control functionality to Genetec Mobile, allowing you to run standard operating procedures on the go and really devolve a lot of those responsibilities down to people in the field. And finally, we're increasing scalability. So this includes adding H.264 support directly in Genetec Mobile, so that improves performance of the mobile app, expanding cardholder limits to about 600,000 cardholders per system, and adding additional control of downstream access control device firmware to facilitate maintenance in large-scale deployments. So much for the impact of the release overall. What does this mean for our DAP development partners? Well, here's just a quick overview of some of what's available for our partners. We're going to go deeper into each of these features, But amongst others, you're going to be able to leverage data within Security Center or even push your own data streams to what we're calling a correlation engine. We're looking at improved access to Omnicast video by leveraging the web player. So this can be used to really build and customize web interfaces with some of the video that we have access to. We are allowing partners to access video analytics streams to either include those in applications. So if you want to display some of the native analytics directly within your integration, or if you want to access the pre-analyzed data streams so that you can do some interesting things in terms of parallel analytics, that's another option. You can trigger or complete evacuations based on events from your systems, pull time and attendance data, including the breaks that people took throughout the day, and even generate mobile credentials through Synergis, allowing you to set up certain types of integrations a little more easily and a little more seamlessly within Security Center. So just in order to not bore you to death with me talking about each of these features in detail, we've invited some of the product teams to volunteer some of their time to showcase the actual features. So keep in mind our teams are often not working directly with the SDK, so these demos are mainly focused on the additions to Security Center itself, alongside how you can take advantage of those new features in your integrations. So it'll be a little bit of a demo of what that looks like within Security Center, and I'm going to give some context around how that can be leveraged by your teams. So let's start with one in particular. It's a very exciting feature, which is data ingestion. So up until now, to bring in new data, either our developers or our partners' developers had to get involved and build the integration through the SDK. So this was 100% in the hands of partners or our own developers throughout the entire process. This led to a bit of a disjointed experience, both in terms of the depth of those integrations, because it was basically up to whoever developed it, but also a limited interoperability. So you might be able to bring in some of your data, but you wouldn't be able to leverage the data that others had brought in the same way, and they wouldn't be able to take advantage of the work that you had done. And so a lot of what we've been working on doing is that we not only want to allow our customers to access their data, but we want to really create a more data-friendly platform in general. And as we're going to see, this is laying a base for improvements to come. Ultimately, this allows us to create an engine for ingestion, correlation, and automation using that data. So to accomplish this, we're introducing the ability to query these data sets through the SDK. So you'll be able to use your integration to query the correlation data sources that are there. But you'll also be able to provide a data source to Security Center if you're creating a plugin that generates a Security Center role. So that's a bit of a caveat on that. You'll also, be able to take advantage of the other data sets that other integrations have brought in. And this creates a centralized solution for our data storage and retrieval needs. That really is this idea of a one-stop correlation shop for all of the data that our customers are looking to use. And to reiterate, if you want to provide a correlation data source, you're going to have to use the plugin SDK. More on how you can access that later when we're talking about the actual program. And if you want to bring in simple data, that's actually something that, as we'd mentioned, is available just with Security Center 5.10. So there are going to be ways to just bring in data sources with almost no coding involved. But if you want to become a bit of a more complex data source, that'll be available as well. So if you want to know more about how to bring in simple data sources, stay tuned for the Security Center 5.10 What's New webinar that's going to be coming up in the next few weeks. And we'll post that to the DAP Resource Center as well to make it easy to access for you folks. So our lead data scientist, Dr. Sean Lawler, kindly provided us with an in-depth overview of the feature. I shortened the coverage here just for the sake of time, but we'll post the full video to the DAP Resource Center for you to check out after the webinar. It goes into how to configure data sources and some additional implications of the feature, so it's a good thing to check out. Just one last note before we watch this. Sean shows us some of the additional features that are still to come, so be aware that some of the material at the end will be available only in subsequent releases.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me. Today we're going to talk about correlation and automation in the new 5.10 Security Center SDK. So how that might look is here if we go audit trail and say in the last week, I just generate report. Oh, there were a lot of them. Audit trail was the wrong one. Activity trail. There we go, much faster. So in this case, there were a lot of activities. So once I drag it in, there's what my visual model represented. And this is the same in emails. It's the same on the mobile app. It's the same on the map within Security Center in the pop-up. It's unified everywhere. So you only have to define it once. A really easy way of bringing your data in and making it available on a dashboard, for example, I can easily convert this to a chart. So the number of records broken up by time. No, sorry, not split by. Options lines. X-axis is time. And then I should see, yeah, they were split by month or something. But now I see the actual number of events based on the time when they occurred. And I can drop this on a dashboard if I wanted, or the top results, add to dashboard, top results, and put it right onto any dashboard right away. Anyway, so that's a great example of bringing in any third-party external data. Now, some neat things that are going to be coming in future releases, which are very close to being ready, but they won't be ready for 5.10.0, are things like aggregate functions. So aggregation is the concept of querying a complex expression, but without returning all the data and just the results needed to visualize. So here we have the offender count is the wrong name. It should be average age of offenders. We have the average age of offender broken by the offender type. So here we see average. I'm averaging the age. There's other fields. I can do count the distinct elements, maximum, minimum, sum, variance. So very powerful. And then group by, so I can actually apply a grouping and get grouped results. These are the data types I want to query and save. Now from that, I can now interact with this as well. So there are drill down options. Okay, there's something interesting here. Sex offenders seem to be older. So I'm going to drill down and say, show me that breakdown by sex. So, okay, and then of the males, I want to see the hair color breakdown. So the average age of male sex offenders when they have gray or partially gray hair is 64.5. This is kind of interesting information, maybe. So I want to actually go explore the actual underlying information. We'll pre-fill the report for you. And you can see sex offender was selected, males, and everything was populated along with all the columns necessary. So in this case, we're only actually returning back 3 records, which is why it's so fast to compute and to interact with. If we were querying all the data, this could be thousands of records, and it wouldn't scale. But if I actually want to drill in and see what's going on, I can always open up the report and go view the actual underlying data.
So what does this mean for our customers and for our partners, right? Well, this allows partners to create, a first-class data set within Security Center. So if you're creating a new role within the plugin framework, you're able to create a correlation data source. That means that all of our partners are treated equally and can take advantage of each other's work, really to collaborate between themselves. And customers get a seamless experience with your data and ours. So since everyone's equal, internal data Security Center and external data that's being brought in is treated the same way, allowing Security Center to grow seamlessly here. So I'm going to pass the torch over now to Dumi, who's going to take us through what the Genetec web player is able to do. So I'm going to just provide access here. Oh. All All right, the floor is yours.
Hello. Oh, hello everyone. So the Genetec Web Player feature was something in very high demand by our partners that wanted to show cameras on their own web page. One example might be exposing a public traffic on a web page. So far, what we would offer would be the RTSP streams. And the RTSP streams are not really very web friendly. Most of the time you would have to have a separate component in between that would do transcoding and expose afterwards on a WebSocket. So Genetec has had for a while the not the web player itself, the web client, which would basically allow you to see Genetec cameras on a web page. And what we have done now, we have basically extracted the web player from our client and have made the component distributable for our partners. So let me see, I think I'm a bit back on the slides. Okay. Some of the benefits that the new web player gives you, and we'll see a bit later, is that it will take care of all the format and codec issues that might occur on the client side. And it also has a secure communication. So let me go to the next slide here. The player is provided as a simple JavaScript TypeScript file. The file is independent. The script is independent on any frameworks. So on your side, you can basically include it in any sort of like development frameworks that you would want. And the library is provided directly from our Media Gateway role. So you can simply do one call to the Media Gateway role and you would obtain this file. This can be very useful if at one point there's an upgrade in the system, you need the new file, you just do the request again. It's a simple API that allows you to play live and playback with commands like pause, play live, seek, and the first part would be basically the authentication, where you would need to get you need to use a Security Center user and password plus an SDK certificate for your initial connection. That will give you a token that can be used afterwards for all the rest of the commands. So what cameras do we support? This will actually allow you to support all types of cameras. The way this is achieved is that if by any chance your client does not support a specific stream format, the Media Gateway will do transcoding for that format and will send a transcoded video to the client. Now, if by any chance you would like to avoid having the Media Gateway do a lot of transcoding code in the backend, you could also now disable the transcoding option on the Media Gateway. And this will mean that your Media Gateway would never have unexpected load because of uncompatible clients. And on the client side, in this scenario, we would actually tell the client that it would not, that the format is not supported by his browser. Okay, so a browser as a player, as we said, it is simple, but it has a lot of capabilities. So it includes play speed support, PTC control, timeline. You have ability to set the timeline even in the future. This way it will update automatically as new events come in. So it can be quite interesting. And the connection is secure. As we said, there is a simple authentication process and the token used for the communication. So I would say this is pretty much for the player, but there's also some other improvements in 5.10 related to the media gateway, which could be of interest combined with this. In 5.10, you would be able to add multiple media gateways in your system, which means you could basically decide to have a media gateway configured for public use, and you could have a media gateway configured for internal use. And then you could put different sort of rules or stream qualities that would be sent to one and the other. So I'll give it back to you.
Thank you. So, be back on here. Yes, thank you for that. So moving on to the analytics portion. Right, so some of what, actually, sorry, basically, thank you, Dumi. Another great addition to the SDK from this is that we're opening up video streams from unified Kiwi analytics applications to be used by the SDK. So what does this mean for you? And how does it impact you? Well, you can access the non-privatized streams from Privacy Protector. This can be really interesting if you want to run analytics and generate events on video that cannot be accessed by the operators. For instance, maybe if you're looking at a public space and you don't want, or your customers don't want the operators to actually see who's in that space unless a facial recognition hit comes up on them. And then we want to deprivatize that stream. And that could be an interesting application. But you could also get the pixelated version if you want to include that in something that you're running. You can get analytics metadata as well in events. So that's something that you can bring in and leverage as part of your integrations. So we're going to move to a few of the access control peripherals that we're exposing as well in the next few slides. So evacuations have long been an irritant for businesses, right? Access control has the data that we need, but how do you coordinate between the access control system itself and the people on the ground, right? There's often no thin client available for people counting during the evacuation itself. It's hard to get a live view of the areas under evacuation and the safety status of the personnel and where they are. And what about the cardholders or the visitors that do not carry their credentials with them or may have left them on their desk and need to be added to a mustering point? What happens for those who might have badged out, but it turns out they've re-entered the facility? How do you manage that? So we're going to start by looking at a little bit at what this improvement actually looks like, and we're going to then talk about how that impacts you again.
Welcome to the SDK Evacuation Assistant demo. Once you use the SDK to start an evacuation, the Evacuation Assistant portal starts to monitor the safety status of individuals in real time. People that badge at a mustering reader are automatically set to safe. The Evacuation Assistant portal can run on any mobile device, such as a mobile phone or tablet. Mustering captains can manually add someone in safe mode once they have been advised that the individual is truly safe and at a mustering station. People at risk can also be added as unsafe. This information can be shared with the first responders for them to prioritize their search and rescue efforts. Individuals who were not initially part of the evacuation can be manually added to the evacuation roster, and their safety status and mustering area can be selected within the web application. This can also be done for individuals that are not in Security Center. They can be manually added as visitors, and their safety status and mustering area can also be selected within the web application. Active evacuation reports and dashboards can be generated in Security Center throughout the evacuation. In this case, showing the number of people that are in unsafe or unknown status for each of the evacuation areas. At any point, the reports can be exported and printed. These can then be shared with the first responders, giving them a status of the evacuation process. The reports can be customized to show the most relevant information during the evacuation process, which includes the number of individuals safe at their mustering station. Once the evacuation is complete and all individuals have been accounted for, the evacuation assistant can be stopped using the SDK. This concludes our demo for the evacuation assistant. Thank you.
So that's great for the new feature, right? But what does this mean for our partners? Well, you can trigger the start of an evacuation or the end of an evacuation through the SDK. So this means that if you're bringing in new types of data that would be relevant for this, maybe it's fire data, it could be, gunshot sensors or something like that. That can all be triggered. But you can also get some of the data relevant to it. Query the events, say when someone's marked as safe, someone's marked as unsafe, evacuation started, ended, mustering started or ended. So for our customers, this means that we're able to start or end evacuations using external triggers. You can get real-time monitoring in the systems that you need, right? So if you've got a third-party area, even consider combining this, say, with the web player, and you could have a web page where you're looking at the status of the evacuation and who remains. And you can just generally manage and monitor emergency evacuations. Another place that it's been a little lacking for partners is time and attendance, right? So we're really happy to provide some improvements to this within the platform, but also allowing you to leverage those improvements. Right, so before 5.10, we had a report that shows the duration of a cardholder or visitor stay inside an area, but it was difficult to really frame this with additional information, right? So what time was a person supposed to start and what time were they supposed to end? There was a little bit of cardholder information lacking here, like the cardholder group. With 5.10, we get to add new columns and additional filters when it comes to the time and attendance report. So let's take a quick look at that within the system, then we'll see how that impacts you.
Welcome to this video, which goes over the enhanced SDK time and attendance features we have available in Security Center 5.10. Prior to Security Center 5.10, the time and attendance report would display the total time a cardholder or visitor was in a specific area, but would not display the time someone entered and left the area. In Security Center 5.10, we added that information, as you can see here. So we can see first end time, last out time for that specific area. We also added gross total time and cardholder group the person belongs to. The gross total time is the amount of time from the first entry to the last exit. In this example, the total time is smaller than the gross total time because Abby was not always present in the area during the day. If we look at the cafeteria area, We can see that Abby had a lunch break before returning to the sales area to continue her day at the office. There is also a new filter called the start of day filter. By default, it's set at midnight, and it's the time the day gets reset. We could change this time, for example, for 8 p.m. This allows us to account for night shifts that span over 2 days. So if I select for production area, production cardholder group, and hit generate for this specific date range, this is an example where people start to work their shifts at 8:30 p.m. and end their shift at midnight. As you can see here, people started to come in at around 8 p.m. and then left shortly after their shift ended at midnight. This concludes this demo. Thank you for your attention.
So what does this give you as partners? Well, new granularity with additional data, right? So there's new queries for first in time, last time out, or last out time. New queries for the total gross time, if that's something you want to keep an eye on, right? How long have they been on site in general? So all of these new data points can be brought in through the SDK. This allows you to, query those new values. So if you're working, for instance, with contractor or employee management, this gives you a lot more data to work with from the access control system, right? So you can get more granular in terms of tracking the time spent at the office and where they were. If there's certain areas you want to ensure that are deducted from their actual time on site. Let's say if there's places they want to go on a smoking break or something. And just generally better tracking of the cardholders and visitors. In a similar vein, we've smoothed the process of emitting mobile credentials. So prior to 5.10, we were able to, create mobile credentials from Security Center, revoke those mobile credentials, and monitor their status. But that had to be done from a third-party provider. So, right, we would create it, but then a lot of the management actually happened outside. With 5.10, we're able to take a lot more control of that management and monitoring.
Welcome to this video which goes over the SDK features available with the Mobile Credential Management in Security Center 5.10. The mobile credential provider we currently support is HID Origo. We are planning to add more mobile credential providers in future Security Center releases. First, you need to create a mobile credential profile to establish the communication with the mobile credential provider. This is done from the Configuration tab of the Mobile Credential Manager. Now let's go over the functions you can do using the SDK. You can create a mobile credential and assign it to a cardholder. When you click on OK, at this point, the mobile credential provider sends an email invitation to the cardholder's email address. The cardholder then enters the invitation code in the HID Mobile Access app and retrieves the credential on the phone. You can delete a mobile credential. You can resend or cancel an invitation that was sent by the mobile credential provider. You can start a synchronization with the mobile credential provider in order to retrieve the latest information. You can also monitor the status of the mobile credential. Those are all the mobile credential statuses. And as you can see, there's also an invitation status that you can monitor. And finally, you can view the status of the mobile credential subscription and the license count. This concludes this demo. Thank you for your attention.
Again, what does this mean for our partners? Well, you can take advantage of that from your integration as well. You want to create mobile credential profiles based on information that you have available, or you want to issue, revoke mobile credentials. You can do that through the SDK. You can trigger an invitation to be resent or canceled based on something that you're managing, and you can poll the status of the mobile credential. So again, more of what we're doing in terms of mobile credential management is available to our partners. Right, so this becomes very interesting for visitor contractor management integrations. You want to leave the credential omission and management to Synergis and simplify the development and usage of the integration for you on your side. So that concludes our overview of the SDK features themselves that are coming with this new release. Before we get to your questions, though, we just wanted to take a few moments to cover the program as a whole, who you're going to work with or who you do currently work with, and what you could be accessing based on your involvement in the program. So I'm going to pass the mic over to Ilya, who's going to take us through that.
All right, Charles, thank you very much. Hi everyone, my name is Ilya and I hope you're enjoying the session so far. So I wanted to give you a little bit of an overview of who you will be mainly working with when you are reaching out to our team, and also remind you of some of the services that we provide. So Charles, if you could click. Thank you, Charles. So we have one of the two teams that we have working in the DAP group is the coordination team, and they're really the ones who coordinate all of the activities of the program. They are the ones who manage the partnership engagement from A to Z, basically from the time that you apply for SDK to the time when you're ready to deploy. Laurence is leading the team. Ariel, Lisa, and Marc are the program coordinators, and they're always there to assist you with any non-technical questions that you may have, and they're ready to help you alongside the journey. We also have a technical team led by Dumitru, who you've recently listened to. Within the technical team, we have specialists who really are there to help you work, develop your integrations in the most efficient way and at the best quality. Three guys there, Rafi, Devang, Andres, are the SDK specialists, and they are there to assist you with the development, to provide you consultation, trainings on the SDK, etc. And Mohammed and Mathieu are those who would also be involved with you to certify your integration at the end, should you choose to go through the certification, which we highly do recommend, to validate that the user experience and the solution works well and up to Genetec standards. So how can you get access to this technical team of ours? To remind you, we have SDK package that is completely free and it's available for you whenever you want to develop an integration or upgrade one. But you can also subscribe to one of the services tiers, Bronze, Silver, or Gold, which give you access to our technical team. With Bronze, you get access to them through the GTAP cases. You can open cases about questioning how to develop certain features. Maybe you're running into issues. This is quite a reactive approach, so you would open a case and we would respond to it. What differentiates Bronze from Silver and Gold is that with Silver and Gold we also offer two very interesting services. One of them is individual consulting, and the other one is application certification. The difference between Silver and Gold is in how much access you get to the team, and that with Gold you also get a few other additional access to additional modules and additional days of service. So let's dive deeper into those two services. So through consultancy, It's a tailored, it's a proactive approach of assisting and helping you. One of the things that we can do is, for example, provide you with a training or a refresher on the SDK at the beginning of the development. This is not a public or generic training. We always tailor it to your needs according to what projects you're working on, according to what modules you may be touching. Anything else that you may specifically want to know about, we will not include everything else that you don't care about. This is a very tailored approach for training. Specific guidance as well. It's something that we do. For example, we could proof of concept together with you. We could kick off a project. We can assist you with the design and architecture of the project based on the experience that we've had. And we could also do regular follow-ups with you if you prefer, to make sure that the development progresses well without any blockers, and so that we are, we deal with you in a much more proactive way. Finally, our team has a lot of experience with other integrations, with internal solutions, with development in general. So of course, during those engagements with our technical team, you would benefit from the SDK specialist sharing general practices that that relate to development, not just specifically to the SDK. So the other service that was interesting in Silver and Gold is the certification. And certification is all about validating the quality of the integration that you have built. So usually it starts, the active engagement is at the end of the development cycle for you, but we always prefer that you engage with us from the very beginning. You let us know that you're interested in it, and then we potentially engage with you at the beginning through the training, through the assistance, to make sure that everything is ready for the certification in the best possible way. So when we certify an integration, we really validate it from an end user point of view. We review that it does what it's supposed to do according to the expectations, to the content, to the documentation, to the scope. We verify that it behaves well from a user experience, that the workflows are consistent, that the UI is beautiful, that of course it doesn't break anything within Genetec, and that there are no security concerns as well, like saving passwords in open text, for example. We also establish a long-term strategy with you. For those who are interested, again, we have experience with the internal Genetec products, with a lot of other integrations, and depending on the vertical, depending on the needs, we can work with you on recommending other features or improved features for your integration to make it much more interesting, to make it more, to differentiate yourself from other integrations possibly. Finally, once you're certified, it gives you ability to promote your integration with confidence. We share a certificate, we share a letter of certification, we give you a report at the end of all of the improvements and issues that we've asked you to fix, and you can use that to share with end users. You can post it on your websites if you want. In the very near future, we will also be putting a badge on those certifications, on those integrations that are certified, to differentiate them from other integrations that are not on our website. And this way, you end users who look at your integrations can really see the value and the difference, and they see that there is a stamp of approval from Genetec. Quick note, it's also a prerequisite for marketing, so if you want to go through our marketing services, then your integration is to be certified. Finally, this has been mentioned a few times today. A resource center is there for you to self-serve. It is a forum-like knowledge center, knowledge website. You can, that's where we announce, post announcements and news. That's where you can learn more about the processes for DApp, more about the SDK, where our technical team shares the tips and tricks with how to develop certain features or what to avoid. And it's also a good place for you to ask questions and get answered either through our experts or even by other partners who are active on the website. So we do encourage you to go there as much as you can and to use it as much as you can. So I went through everything pretty quickly. I wanted to leave some time for the questions. Now is the time. Please go and ask the questions, and the team will help us, let me answer them, or maybe somebody else will be able to answer.